Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Oscar Mikey. Today I want to talk to you about a little game called Better Than Dead. First off, before we get into the video, I have to give you a warning. There are some really mature themes going on with this game, some kind of nasty and disturbing stuff. So there's your warning for that. Just giving you a heads up. But this game I have kind of conflicted feelings about. There are lots of things that I like about it, but then there are a lot of things that I think it could really use some improvement on, and I kind of dislike about it also. I did get a free key to this game, but that's not going to influence my decisions or anything that I say in the video. They don't get to watch the video beforehand. They don't get any input on what I say during this video. So there's your full disclosures. But this game is basically a time trial, stylish cinematic FPS that takes place in Hong Kong. It seems like it's inspired by a lot of old school action movies. I'm thinking like pretty much anything directed by John Woo or starring Chow Yun-fat. The main movie that comes to mind is Hard Boiled. It's all about like running through corridors and getting into really intense gunfights in slow motion with bad guys. That's really what you can expect from this game, and that's where it kind of draws its influences from, I think. The plot for this game, this is where it gets kind of dark. You play as a woman who was trafficked into the mob for sex slavery, basically, and you manage to escape with a gun, and then you decide to take revenge on the whole system, all the mobsters, all the mob captains. You go on a revenge tear, taking all those guys down, and eventually making your way all the way to the top to take down the leader of the operation. This is an early access game. There's one chapter available to play, which is roughly, I don't know off the top of my head, I didn't count actually, maybe like 10 or 12 missions. Maybe editing Mikey will go back and count the missions and then put them in the video here for you. And let's just talk about it. I want to start with the things that I like, because I have kind of a preference to talk about the things I like. I don't like to shit on things, but that doesn't mean I'm going to withhold things and like hide the bad things from you. I definitely have some bad things that I want to talk about with regard to this game. But let's start off with the things that I do like. Overall, I love the presentation and the style of this. I know we've seen a lot of like body cam style games come out ever since the announcement or the trailer for Unrecord. Obviously, one of the bigger games that has come out is called Bodycam, and that has exploded. It's gained its own following, and it has lots of content, and that game has a lot going for it. But this is kind of going with the same presentation, that bodycam perspective. But instead of going for like a hardcore mil-sim-ish or law enforcement FPS style game, this one is much more stylish and cinematic, which I do like. There's a lot of like neon and explosions, like the gunfights are really cool. There's slow motion, things are exploding and sparks are flying in slow motion. I do like the presentation. The shootouts are action-packed and chaotic, and when you shoot your gun, the feedback is pretty good. It feels pretty punchy when you shoot it. The game emphasizes, I mean, right off the bat, there's a disclaimer on the screen right up front that tells you this is not a cover shooter and you're not meant to like stay in one place and pick enemies off. The game wants you to play a particular way. It wants you to play very aggressive. It wants you to push enemies, use aggressive movement and get up into the enemies' faces and shoot them like point blank and really get up in their business, you know? And I found when I played the game that way, it worked pretty well. There are some things we'll talk about in the dislike section, the things that I don't like so much, but when you manage to get into a flow state in this game and actually you're playing it the way it wants, you're being aggressive, you're running up in enemies' faces, you're sliding, taking advantage of the slow-mo, it does feel pretty good. You feel like a badass. You kind of feel like John Wick. Another thing that I like is the bleak, mature plot. Some of the things you'll see in this game are kind of disturbing. I'm not going to show them on screen because YouTube might flag this video and get me demonetized or something, but I do tend to prefer like a more mature plot, and this one definitely has it. Another thing that I like about this game, to an extent, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in the dislike section, but the controls and movement. I do like how, you know, this game uses an aiming system that's similar to a lot of other hardcore shooters. Your point of aim on your gun is kind of disconnected from your FOV, and you can swing the gun back and forth, and your POV or your actual line of sight doesn't move, so it's a little bit disconnected like that. It feels kind of strange when you first get your hands on it and you start moving around and manipulating your vision and your movement and stuff, but I think it works for this kind of experience. And even with all the special effects, even with all the slow-mo and the blood effects and things exploding and things, the performance was actually pretty okay. I'm playing this on a 4080 at a mix of like high and epic settings, and it was running at just over 100 FPS for me for most of the time. Now, I wish this list was a little bit longer. I wish this list of things that I like was a little bit longer, but unfortunately, the game is bogged down by a lot of negatives. I just told you how I kind of like the controls and the movement. We're going to start off the dislikes with the controls and movement. I like that disconnected, you know, weapon movement from your FOV. I like that style. But this game just cranks the sensitivity up to 11, and it makes it insanely hard to play until you really get your FOV and your aim sensitivity dialed in. If you see somebody kind of far away, it's really hard to keep your weapon still and like make a long shot with your gun. In particular, when you ADS, when you do that, usually in other FPS games, your sensitivity kind of ratchets itself down by a multiplier, like 0.85% or something. Instead of 100% sensitivity, it ratchets down to like 85 or something like that. In this game, it feels like it gets more sensitive. It feels like it multiplies and gets way more sensitive when you ADS. So then when you start moving, your movements are huge. Your gun just sways and flings from side to side, from edge to edge on the screen, and it's impossible to get like a precise picture on your target. It's insane, and you can make it better by playing with the sensitivity and getting that really dialed in, but it never goes away, and there's no option to change that. Sometimes it feels like your arms are just made of overcooked spaghetti noodles or something. You're just making these huge motions, swaying right to left, panicking, trying to get like a bead on a guy and like take him down, but it's sometimes it feels impossible. Luckily, for the most part, I mean, they can get some lucky shots on you, but the AI is pretty basic. They mostly have like predefined areas that they stay in or paths that they walk across. So if you do happen to die, it's easy to memorize their movements. This is the kind of game that it's like trial and error. Like you go in, and if you happen to die, then you reset, you try again, and you learn where the enemies are placed, so you can better go in and take them out and move on to the next stage. And just going back to the looks of the game, the presentation for a second, the particle effects and the destruction and stuff looks pretty good. But the maps and the NPCs can be a little bit hit or miss. There are some maps that look pretty good, other maps that don't look so great. The construction map is one that I think kind of looks like crap. And the NPCs themselves can look pretty jacked up too. They all have that typical body cam game blurred face, which is kind of annoying. I wish less of them would do that. The slow motion in the game is cool. I love me some slow motion in my video games. I'm a huge like Max Payne fan, and I love the Stranglehold game. But sometimes it feels a little bit inconsistent. It'll trigger sometimes when certain items in the world are blown up or shot. It's mainly supposed to activate when you slide, but it activates at the end of a slide. So like when the slide is pretty much done and then you're getting ready to stand back up, that's when the slow motion activates. And then after you use that, you have to wait for it to recharge again. And you don't always know when it's recharged because you're probably in the middle of a gunfight, right? And there's all these sounds, there's gunfire, things are exploding. And the way that you know the slow motion is recharged is when your character takes a big deep breath and inhales. When you're getting into the flow state of a gunfight, right, you don't always hear that. At least I didn't. I missed that several times. Also with the effects, a lot of them are great. I don't really have any complaints about most of the particle effects and the post effects, that kind of thing. But there's one like dirty screen effect that is just egregious, and it only happens in one level. It happens in the buried in red level. It's like an underground level. You're in these tunnels underground and it's super dark, but there are these big bright flashing red lights. And the lights are so bright and they filter through this dirty screen effect that just completely blinds you. Like 1 second you're in total darkness, you can't see a thing. And then the next second, these bright red flashing lights come on and completely blind you because there's all this like dirty schmutz all over the screen. You can barely see through it. It's, man, that's got to be one of my least favorite levels in the whole, like in the entire chapter of levels that they give you to play right now. It's pretty bad. But I would also say that the construction level that I mentioned before, that is also one of my least favorite maps because the design of that map just flies in the face of like what this game is supposed to be or like how they want you to play it. They want you to play aggressive, right? They want you to get up in enemies' faces. They want you to embrace close quarters combat and basically become John Wick, right? But this warehouse level is so huge. You're running over these big swaths of land with guys shooting at you from like a mile away, and you have to sprint for like 30 seconds to get all the way up to them in order to kill them. Because you can't aim, you can't ADS your weapon and make precise shots. Anyways, it's not all bad, not all of the maps are terrible. There is one that I simultaneously at the same time like liked and hated. There's one level where you go into a strip club and you have to fight your way through to the top office where the mob boss is and get up there and kill him, right? I gotta say, it's a fun level. You're inside this club, there's music blaring, it's intense. It's kind of like the first scene in John Wick where he goes to the club and you got the music blasting, there's lights everywhere, bad guys are running at you. That was one of the maps where I felt like I could really like enter a flow state and get some good like momentum going. But I did have that momentum killed a bunch of times because the club itself is 2 stories, right? And while you're working your way through the first level, all the guys on the second floor are shooting down at you while you're simultaneously getting shot at from guys on the first level. So I died quite a bit in that level, but it was actually pretty fun to play. The visuals were good, there was lots of like pretty flashing lights, and the music was really good. But then something that caught me a little off guard about the music, there's music throughout the game. There's a lot of music in the game. Especially when you get going with your gun and you start taking guys out, which is good. It feels really good. That's when you start entering that flow state and you really start getting into the character, right? You really start getting into the game and blowing shit up. But when you get shot, the music just cuts. It cuts out completely. It completely takes you out of the experience and kills the vibe. And then it's also completely debilitating when you get shot. It's really super punishing in this game when you get hit one time. When you take that first hit, your mobility, your vision, and your aiming all go downhill. Your vision starts swaying like really aggressively from side to side. Your movement is completely hampered. You can't really move, like you slow down to a crawl. So God help you if you get hit while you're out in the open. You can't like move anywhere to take cover. And then your aiming, man, oh, your arms get pushed out, punched out way above your head. And you can't see anything. Like your arms are totally blocking your vision. You can't really fight back. You're basically looking straight down while your weapon is above your head. Or even sometimes I've seen it come like way down to my waist, and it's impossible to aim like that. Like, I understand that it would hurt a lot to get shot and it would really kind of mess you up. But in a video game, right, I kind of expected to give me at least a little bit of a fighting chance, not completely turn me into a vegetable as soon as I take one bullet. I have to be left with like at least a little bit of control that I can use to get back from that. Make it a little bit less punishing, maybe make the sway a little bit less aggressive, let me aim a little bit more precisely. It just feels way too aggressive right now. It feels way too punishing, I don't know. And I think a lot of the times what caught me out, or like what caught me off guard about the game and got me shot, was some of the technical issues. There's some collision problems with some of the like the physics-based objects in the worlds. And then there's also weird invisible walls, like invisible walls that come out quite a bit from the actual like physical walls where you think you should be safe, or like the actual edges of the environment that you can see. You can see in this clip here that I should be aiming my weapon. I should be able to aim my weapon straight ahead. I'm clearly looking around this corner and I can see this guy that's shooting at me, but I can't. My gun is getting pushed into my chest and I can't raise it at all. I can't fire it whatsoever. As you're blasting through these levels, as you're running top speed through these levels like the game tells you to do, you can come across these situations sometimes and it really like hampers your performance. I also just got flung underneath the map by a physics object one time, which was pretty weird. It was just like a small crepe. Somehow I got hooked on it weird and it just flung me under the floor and I fell. There's only one chapter to play right now. It's called To Hell. Editor Mikey will put up the number of levels in this chapter for you again. And the next one that's apparently in development is called To Heaven. We don't really know any details about that one. These levels are pretty short. It only takes like 2 to 3 minutes to finish each one. There's no other guns to use, which is really unfortunate. I'd like to see some different, at least some different handguns that have like maybe different ammo capacity, higher or lower, more power, less power. But no, we only get the one gun. There isn't really a clear roadmap as far as I could tell. If Editor Mikey does find one, he'll put it up on screen for you right now. But yeah, overall, those are my feelings on Better Than Dead, guys. I can see the vision, I can see where they want to take it, and I like the direction they're going, but right now it just feels very bogged down by technical issues and kind of unrefined movement and controls and map design and stuff. There's also not a lot of content to play right now. For the 15 bucks or so, I think it's like 15 USD, there's only about like 70 minutes of playtime in this chapter that's available to play right now. I took a screenshot of my playtime after I did my first playthrough, and yeah, if I remember right, it came out to about 70 minutes. I do hope the developer can go back and refine some of these systems because I do see the vision. I do see where they want to take it. I like the style. I like the gunplay. I like playing in that aggressive, like up in your face, kind of John Wick, Chow Yun-Fat, hard-boiled, slow motion gunfighter style gameplay. I do really like that, but this game needs a lot of time to cook. I'll leave a link to the Steam store page if you guys do want to check it out. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.